I had achieved what no military commander in history had ever achieved before. I had conquered the 3 former slave cities at the same time. Triumphant and full of pride, I placed a garrison and a man I trusted to govern each city, and journeyed on with my grand army. Unfortunately, it was at this point I encountered a new problem. But what separated this problem from any other during my campaign was that I was not certain this was a problem I could overcome. My constant acquisitions of settlements across the east had made the western provinces of Essos extremely nervous. Rumors of a grand coalition of the free cities of West Essos had begun to circulate and find their way to my ear. Between the free cities would not be a force I would take lightly. They would be highly organized fighting forces, which, given my current situation with my Khalasars and my armies, I was not certain if war could break out now, we would win. So I instructed my greatest warrior to journey to the west to create a border, but not just any border. The soldiers and the Dothraki screamers affectionately began calling it the Dragon's Wall. The Dragon's Wall stretched all the way from the borders of Cahor all the way down to the borders of Volantis. It was my attempt at telling Westeros and the west of Essos that I did not intend to journey any further west than I already had. And for a while this seemed to work. And so it was that with my greatest warrior and an army of 20,000 to the west patrolling the Dragon's Wall, I sat in my tent discussing with my maester and my Khaleesi about the next appropriate plan in our conquest. Maester, I am convinced that the Dragon's Wall border will keep West Essos satiated for at least a time. It will make them believe, quite rightly, that I will not invade any more of the West. If they do decide to invade, it is not a war I am certain that we can win. Not without proper planning, food, and equipment. Which, because of you, Maester, we will have in time. Most of the Dothraki Sea has been cultivated into farmland, so we will have an abundance of food this season, which we can disperse among the settlements and our people. The huge landmass that I now occupy has given us natural resources, mines, forests, so that we may build siege engines and roads for trade. Only one kingdom remains in Essos. And now that there is no need to use the armies to further conquest the West, we can use them to suppress the most serious revolts in settlements. and more importantly, invade this one last settlement. Which is it, my maester? Well, I will tell you. It is a kingdom to the north, my maester, known as Umbar. And, you disagree, my Khaleesi. What do you disagree with? I see. You do not wish for me to invade militarily. Why? My Khaleesi. My son, when he is born, will have your wisdom. I am certain of it. Maester, my Khaleesi is right. Perhaps this will be good practice for me to use my diplomacy and my negotiating skills should it ever come where I need to negotiate with the West in this coalition, or even Westeros itself to the far west. Negotiating may be a useful tool at my disposal. What is my plan? My plan, my maester, is twofold. We need to make it clear to Westeros that should war break out between east and west of Essos, they need to back the east no matter what, and not the west. We need to relay to them that the east would be a far better gamble than the west could ever be with the free cities. How do I propose this? Well, this is the part, my maester, that you are going to like. As I understand it, you have a place in Westeros where all knowledge is kept in a huge fortress. The Citadel, yes. Well, to show Westeros that we are not just a savage empire of Dothraki screamers and tribesmen, we want to relay to them that we are civilized and intellectual. We will create our own citadel here in Essos. It will be the seat of all knowledge in the East. I will construct it in the city of Meereen, easily accessible by the sea, so that all across the world may journey to view this fortress of knowledge themselves. I thought you might like that idea, Maester. But it gets even better. You told me how the reason that you journeyed to Essos to write my biography of my life was because the other maesters in the Citadel did not believe that you could amount to anything in your life. Yes, you told me this? Well, once the fortress of knowledge is complete in Meereen, you will be Archmaester. It will be up to you who you decide to let within the walls of this great library, and who does not. No, please. Rise, my friend. Rise. You have devoted so much service to me, and your journey to simply write a biography on Ozmar the Conqueror will now be one of a most comfortable and fortunate life for you. You will be at the very heart of knowledge in the world. I intend to make it grander than the Citadel could ever be. People from all over the world would journey for miles, and at last Westeros will see us as more than savages, and will back us should a war arise between East and West. My greatest warrior is patrolling the Dragon's Wall with a garrison of 20,000. Now, if we are to practice diplomacy, my Khaleesi, then I suggest we take an army of half that to the borders of Umbar. But you are correct, my Khaleesi. If I engage militarily once more, this will only strengthen the Grand Coalition's resolve that I am nothing more than a barbarian. I love you too. It was known. And so with that knowledge in our hearts, me, my maester, and my Khaleesi, with an army of 10,000 at our back, began the long march north to the borders of Umbar. I remember as we walked, it seemed that the tall tales of Ozmar the Conqueror had already spread to the ranks of the army and beyond. As while we journeyed north with the army, they began to sing my praises. It is known. And so it was, mile after weary mile, hill after rolling hill, as we marched, rang out with the songs of Ozmar the Conqueror, so that even rural villages that were not caught up in the politics of Essos would hear them and know my name. I remember looking at my maester and wife, grinning like a caught fool, as I knew that we were doing more than simply mindlessly conquering a continent. We were giving the Dothraki and the people of Essos a future, a legacy they could be proud of. What a fool I was to not think of legacy before I met her. And so it was we reached the northernmost point of the continent, the very borders of the kingdom of Umbar. I instructed the army to make a grand encampment, as we would be staying there for a while until the negotiations had concluded. It was not long before an emissary of the ruler of Umbar came to us.
May I have the address of the great Ozmar the Conqueror?
You do indeed, my friend. And what is it that I can do for you?
I simply wish to bestow my praises on you, great ruler, and to bid you a peaceful welcome to our humble kingdom today. The Queen bids you to come to her palace to talk of peace and negotiations. She would also like your wife, your Khaleesi, Your Majesty.
I had to admit, I was a little surprised, but I did not refuse him. Very well. This is somewhat unusual, but I will engage your custom, as I do desire peace and a peaceful transition of your kingdom over to me.
Of course. You are the power in these lands, great and noble Ozmar. If you would accompany me and your lady.
We journeyed with him for quite some time, until we came to a magnificent palace, beyond which was the sea. And it was actually one of the first times I had ever seen the Northern Sea. It was so beautiful, a place that only a true ruler would want to live. And then it was we entered the Queen's meeting hall, again full of grandeur and splendor. Had I have known what I was in for from this moment onwards, I would never have taken my wife.
Your Majesty, may I present His Excellency, the great Marachal of the Dothraki Sea and High King of East Essos, Ozmar the Conqueror.
That's perfectly all right, Empress. I can take it from here and handle my own introductions.
As you wish, my lady. I will leave your majesties to make a start on these negotiations of yours. Please, do not hesitate to call me should you require anything. My lady. Mighty Khal.
So, here you stand, the great Ozmar, a guest in my halls. You are not at all what I was expecting, Your Grace.
And who exactly were you expecting?
Someone more bestial, perhaps. I remember when I was a little younger, there was a real brute of a Khal who tried to negotiate with us once. Drogo, I believe his name was. Ended in complete disaster. But that's not why we're here, I'm sure. I have to say, you have passed all of my expectations of this new Dothraki way.
Well, happy as I am to have been an object of appraisal and surpassed your expectations, Your Grace. I trust you know the very precarious situation of your kingdom and the position it finds itself in. And as of yet, I do not even know your name.
Oh yes, how neglectful of me. My name is Verasha, first of her name and Queen Umbar. And yes, Ozmar, I am very aware of the acute situation my kingdom finds itself in. Why do you think I rushed this issue forth in diplomatic negotiations? A military conflict with you would be, at the very least, stupid, and at the very most, suicidal. So, what is it you wish to propose to me? I am assuming there is a reason that you have taken me up on it, as I'm sure you could have very well ignored them and simply taken my kingdom by force. Therefore, my conclusion is you have something to propose.
As I understand it, you paid my predecessors vast sums of gold in the way of yearly tribute. I wish to propose that should you submit to my rule, those tributes are to be cut in half, and that you need never fear any raid from any Dothraki for as long as you reign. In exchange, I simply wish to have access to an army whenever I should call upon you for aid, and that henceforth this kingdom shall be known as a province and protectorate of my new Dothraki East Empire. Nothing could have prepared me for what she said next.
Excellent, 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 Your Grace. A most enticing proposition. However, not enough. You see, now I know that the only reason for you acquiring this kingdom through diplomatic means and not military can only mean that the rumors of this coalition of free cities in the West are true.
Yes, I am afraid they are mostly true. And a problem. My incursions and conquest into the West must have made them very nervous. I have erected a border between East and West, and I am
I know very well of this dragon's wall border that you have erected, Your Grace. But I'm sure you, in your flawless military tactical prowess, have worked out that the war is inevitable. Now I am going to make a counter proposition for you. I will submit to your rule and act under your command. I will accept half the tribute to be contributed to you and happily become a proud member of this East Empire that you are building. However, given the delicate situation we find ourselves in with the West, I'm afraid I need something a little bit more set in stone. Kohor is right on my doorstep after all, and will doubtless be the first target of this coalition should they invade.
What more could I grant you, Your Grace? One look. That's all she gave. One look to my wife. I will always remember that. Then she said those fatal words.
A marriage and a son.
You do realize I am already married, Your Grace.
Ozmar, the great and powerful conqueror of Essos, stares an army of 3,000 down at the Battle of Sarne and doesn't bat an eyelid. Yet his heartbeat quickens, and the sweat flows at the prospect of fucking two women at the same time.
I looked at my wife, my Khaleesi, and tried to maintain composure. I saw in her eyes so much grace and so much strength, but it was unmistakable to hide a hint of sorrow. I do not know if I can accept this, Your Grace. My wife will be greatly displeased.
Ozmar, why do you think I invited your wife along with you? So that we may discuss it like civilized adults. I'm going to paint a picture for you, and I really wish you think about this most carefully. The West is against you. If this coalition is as organized as I suspect we both think, they will mobilize a force of many disciplined soldiers, which you yourself have admitted will be a problem. Now imagine that you refuse my offer and still choose to walk out. I then will have no choice but to send a raven directly to this coalition and pledge my allegiance to join them. Should you mobilize your army quickly and lay siege to my kingdom, I fear it would only be 2 days before a Western army will meet you on the fields of battle, and with this 10,000 or so riders you have, I fear even this will not be enough. But even so, should you surprise me and triumph on the field of battle with your 10,000, and somehow manage to take my kingdom as well, then you face another problem. A problem of legacy. How would you think the people of the many settlements across the east you have taken by force would feel upon your death, about all the power of their lands being given to some, with the greatest of respect, your grace, unknown heirs of an unknown noblewoman from Garth? Do you think the noble families of Essos would stand for that? Continue to be loyal members of the great empire you have built? Your empire upon your death would crumble within a day.
I could not move. I could not breathe. I knew I had to be strong in the presence of my Khaleesi, but I couldn't help but see the truth this woman spoke.
Umbrister!
Your Majesty.
Bring it in.
At once, my lady.
This parchment, mighty call, is a contract of sorts, details of everything we have discussed. As I say, in exchange for you giving my people half the annual gold we are to contribute yearly, free reign to trade with whomever I desire, and a uniquely privileged position as one of your wives, I will provide you with an army at your beck and call, become a uniquely loyal member of your East Empire, supply labor, material, and cost contribution to any provinces across the East, and finally, that which I have mentioned of marriage, giving you the privilege of my body for your legitimate heirs. I do hope we can become the best of friends, my dear. Perhaps even sisters? Comrades, Sign the parchment, Ozmar, darling, and your victory in the East will be complete.